music could bring. Let's get back to love. When we could dance and sing. If we just dance, if we just sing, we can make the world live in harmony. If we just dance, if we just sing, we can make the world live in harmony. If we just dance, if we just sing, we can make the world live in harmony. If we just dance, if we just sing, we can make the world live in harmony. DJ, turn the music up. Turn the music up. DJ, turn the music up. Turn the music up. If we just dance, if we just sing, we can make the world live in harmony. If we just dance, if we just sing, we can make the world live in harmony. If we just dance, if we just sing, we can make the world live in harmony. If we just dance, if we just sing, we can make the world live in harmony. If we just dance, if we just sing, we can make the world live in harmony. If we just dance, if we just sing, we can make the world live in harmony. If we just dance, if we just sing, we can make the world live in harmony. If we just dance, if we just sing, we can make the world live in harmony. Harmony. Come on, come on and dance. We can make the world live in harmony. Dance. We can make the world live in harmony. Come on, come on, come on. If we just dance, we can make the world live in harmony. Harmony.
Welcome to the One Essence Radio, where tonight on Let's Talk Music, we will be interviewing the dynamic Miss Melba Moore. I am your host, The One Essence, and you have just heard the first track release from Miss Moore's new album that's soon to be released. And she's going to talk more about it when she comes on the show, tell you what she's been up to. The title of the soon-to-be-released CD is Forever More. But right now, we are still waiting for Miss Moore to call in. So I'm going to play a couple promos, let you listen to that smooth groove, Let's Dance Again, and then hopefully we will have Miss Moore on the line.
Guess who's back in the mofo house?
I beat my kids on a regular basis. And if you want me to just dial 1-800-PICK-UP.
Comedian D. Lamont Hall. New night, same fun. Tune in Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. D. Lamont Hall and his co-host, The One Essence, talk relationships from a man's point of view. Tune in this Monday, and remember, bring your own drink.
If you got a drink out your table, raise it up. If you got a drink, raise it up. This is the party code called Drink Up. This is just drink up for anything.
Listening to The One Essence Radio.
Remember when we used to know each other's names, hanging out all day long and playing silly games. Let's take it back to the good times music could bring. Let's get back to love. When we could dance and sing, we never worried about no arguing, no guns or fighting. We used to care about our children, now they're slowly dying. Let's take it back to the good times music could bring. Let's get back to love. When we could dance and sing. If we just dance, if we just sing, we can make the world
everybody, again, that was Just Dance by the dynamic Miss Melba Moore, and it's from her upcoming CD, Forevermore. And guess what, everybody? I'm trying to hide my smile, but I'm sure you can hear it. We have Miss Moore on the line. Welcome to the One Essence Radio.
Well, thank you so very much.
I'm so excited to share your story and your music with with our listeners, and we've been really looking forward to this for the last week. I'd like to just jump right into the interview, and for those people who don't know who you are, I'm sure there aren't any listeners who don't, but
there may be a few.
There may be a couple who listen to the archive, maybe, but I'd like for you to introduce yourself to the listeners and tell us a little bit about your history, because you're not just a phenomenal musician and singer. You're an actress, a Tony Award-winning actress.
Yes. My very first Broadway show was the Broadway musical Hair, and I started out in the chorus. And then I auditioned for and got the female lead. And in so doing, I became the first black actress to replace a white actress in a lead role on Broadway when I replaced Diane Keaton. And then I went directly from the Broadway musical Hair to the Broadway show that gave me the Tony Award, which was called Pearly. And that show was written by Ossie Davis. And it first starred Ruby Dee. It was first just a comedy. There was no music in it.
Yes,
and it was written by Ossie Davis, and he starred in it in the key role of Pearly. And, of course, Ruby Dee played the role that I then played later. My character's name was Ludi Bell Gussie Mae Jenkins. And I got a Tony Award for that play. And then as far as theater is concerned, well, then actually I had my own television show with Clifton Davis, whom people may know now from being on TBN as a preacher. Mm-hmm. But then he was a Broadway actor. And you've seen him on a lot of television sitcoms like That's My Mom and a bunch of other things. But then after that, I really kind of focused on becoming a recording artist. And I had spent time with record labels like Buddha Records, Mercury Records, Epic Records, Capitol Records, CBS Records. And right now I'm on a new label called In Grooves Universal, which is releasing my new single, Just Dance. And I also starred in Les Miserables in the female lead of Fantine. And I also starred in Timbuktu opposite Eartha Kitt.
Wow.
And that's kind of the capsule of my theatrical career primarily.
That is an incredible resume. Wow. I mean, I know already, but I'm still in awe just hearing you say it. Ms. Moore, I'd like to take the time to introduce to you one of the co-hosts of my show who just called in, Miss Green. I'm introducing you to Miss Melba Moore.
Oh, my goodness.
Hello there, Miss Green.
Hello. How are you? Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
Nice to hear you.
Wow.
Yes.
Well,
I'm so honored. I'm so honored to be on the line with you. So, oh my goodness.
Thank you. Well, it's my pleasure to meet you as well.
Wonderful. I'd like to go into your musical career. You have worked with some of the most amazing artists. Not that you're not amazing yourself. And I remember. Wait. Movies. Fighting Temptation. You were in the Fighting Temptation movie?
Yes. Huh?
And how was that working on the set with Beyonce and Cuba Gooding Jr., who is an amazing actor?
Like I said, amazing. I hate to be redundant, but the word is amazing. I think at that point too, that was Beyonce. It was only her like her second movie. Yeah. I think the first one she did was that comedy with, I can't think of the gentleman's name, but it was a big comedy movie. But this was like only her second movie. But of course, it was her first starring role.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it was a major. I guess it was a major accomplishment in terms of movement of her career, because she's wound up being, or she hasn't wound up anything yet. She's just getting started still, as much as she's accomplished.
Yes, ma'am.
But I think it was like, kind of a landmark in that it starred Beyonce in her first really major starring role, and of course Cuba Gooding Jr., who was already an Oscar winner. But it had people in it like Shirley Caesar, Ann Nesby, Faith Evans, the old days.
Yes.
Yolanda Adams, Steve Harvey. I can't think of everybody that was in it. Angie Stone. Mike Epps. I can go on and on and on. It was really a star-studded film, and everybody was absolutely great in it. And I can't remember the name of the director, but he was just amazing because he used all that talent in such a very unique way. And what I really love about the movie, I think it really gave honor to Afrocentric culture and, of course, the church culture without demeaning it.
Okay, wow. I usually save this for last, but what is the secret to your longevity in both acting and music?
I don't really know, except that I believe it's Jesus. I believe it's a ministry more so than a job. And I kind of like ask him what he wants me to do every day. I mean, he's first in my life, and I go to church every morning, and I receive communion every morning. I stay in the Bible all day, every day. I'm a born-again Christian. And then every once in a while, he lets me go out and sing and do these other things. But it's not first in my life. And I feel like he gives you refreshment. He reinvents you. He makes you like he wants you to be. And, of course, he's eternal.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And have you found, you take him with you everywhere, obviously, but in your music, have you found that there is the spiritual side of you reflects in your music?
It's first. As a matter of fact, I think since you asked that really wonderful question, I think it's a good example in the new single. We're so accustomed to separating God out of everything, but everything belongs to him. And I think that song is really a good example of let's take music back to when it brought good times and it united us and we cared about our children and we took care of one another and music brought us together because music is a gift of love and a gift from God.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And it truly does unite us. I mean, there's no genre of music that you can't listen to with someone of another ethnicity and you not come together at some point during your listening. Michelle, are you still there?
Right.
Hello?
Right.
Okay, I think I lost my co-host. But
yes, I'm just in awe. I'm just listening. I'm just.
Do you have any questions for Miss Moore?
I'm still here.
Do you have any questions for Miss Moore?
Oh, wow. Yes. I remember her, as a matter of fact, I saw her for the first time when she was in her show with Clifton Davis. I remember watching it. Me and my girlfriend were always glued to the set. How was it working with Clifton Davis?
Well, it was amazing because we were in love.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
She sounds shocked.
Well, you never know what's going on behind the scenes. What we see on the screen, and we can only assume. But to hear it from you, it's like, oh, okay, that's where that chemistry came from.
That is so cute. But I mean, it was exciting in a variety of different ways, though, because we were the first black romantic couple to have a television musical variety show. So we were really, pioneers. Yeah, there was no roadmap for us, and we basically helped to create the concept and write the show as we went along. There's a lot of pressure because we weren't, comedy writers. Mm-hmm. We were just getting started in our careers ourselves. But, as young people I want to be, we are very spontaneous, and we say, okay, yeah, well, let's go, let's try it. So it was, we were very adventurous, and it was very exciting. And, I'm very pleased to see that as people look in the archives now and they look at what we've done, and because I have new product out, we're encouraging people to go back and see where I came from. I think it still stands up in terms of quality, in terms of something that, African Americans be proud of, in terms of good entertainment that any American should be proud of and enjoy. Yeah. And so I'm really grateful for it having happened. I can't take the credit for being so smart, but I was in the right place at the right time, and, God gave it to us, and we said, yeah, let's go for it. Amen.
Amen. What do you use your voice is timeless. As people age, their voices change. What do you do to keep such a silky smooth voice?
Well, I guess in a word, and I got a cold right now, and I don't know what it was. I didn't eat anything wrong or do anything wrong, but I think a little bug came across in the air, so sometimes it'll happen to you. But in normal circumstances, I have a very strict diet. I work out every day. Like I said, I go to church every morning. I try to hear what God is saying that He wants, to do with this instrument, and it continues to grow and to. I think it's much better than it was when I was younger, because I was a soprano, but now that I'm older, the bottom is there. It's full. Mm-hmm. But usually what happens when you get older, you get bottom, but then you lose the top. But if you make it a vocation and you keep studying the instrument as you keep studying life and you keep studying Jesus, He shows you what lifestyle changes you need to make, what food diet changes you need to make, what exorcism as well as exercising you need to do. And of course, I've had lots of good, wonderful training. And one of the things my teachers always told me was that if you take care of it, the voice is a muscle that will never wear out. Mm-hmm. It's not like the knees if you play basketball or something, or football, or if you're a dancer, you wear the joints and everything out. But with the vocal cords, if you supply what it needs to the whole, and of course you sing with the whole body and the whole spirit and mind, and if you become, I think, a student of it, then He keeps showing you, because God wants you to have longevity. I hate to get religious on you, but we were never meant to die. And what He came for was to restore us little by little to the point that we were before Adam and Eve fell. I really, really believe that, and I practice that. And since you were so kind to ask, I think that's what it is.
Okay. Wow.
I believe that as well. Wow.
Well, I'm on your website, and for those of you who are listening to the live show and those who will be listening to the archive show, please go to www.melbamore.com. It's spelled just like it sounds, no difference in the spelling. And I see that it was your stepfather who introduced you and got you started in performing.
Actually, it was, yes. My natural father, his name is Teddy Hill, and he was the leader of a big, very popular band called the Teddy Hill Orchestra, and his orchestra was very successful. People like Miles Davis and Dizzy Gillespie and other jazz greats came through his band, and so it was in my blood. But he and my mother never married, so I never really had any training or any support from my natural father. But my mother married an incredible man, my stepfather. His name is Clem Mormon, and that's where I get the name Moore from. I just shortened it from Mormon to Moore.
Okay.
When I became part of his family.
Wow.
And my mother was a professional singer, and she and my stepfather formed a duo. And he was a piano player, and he still plays piano. He's in his 90s now, but he still performs. And he played the piano, and he had a son and a daughter. So he made the three of us take piano lessons. And later on, we had two more brothers, and he made us all play piano. That was the beginning of really becoming a student of music and having it be the center of our lives. And it wasn't really until I was already 10 years old before that happened. And usually when people have a natural gift like a voice, you kind of know that by the time you're 4 or 5 years old. But I didn't until my mother married my stepfather. And he really was very conscientious about our education, about our religious upbringing, about family, caring and communicating with each other. And so it was there I really had the family life and really the structure that I didn't have before, because when my mother was a single mom, she was also gone all the time. She really didn't raise me. I was raised by someone else. I had a nanny, you know. Well, you don't know, but my grandmother had my grandmother had stroke, so she wasn't able to take care of me or to speak. So my point in telling you this is my family was really very broken and solitary. And I had a lot of abuse and a lot of crazy things that happened because mother was away. My grandmother was an invalid and was stricken. And the lady who raised me was illiterate. She'd been raised on sharecrop. She was an orphan. So that'll give you some idea of how I started out. But when my mother married my stepfather, everything like radically changed. And all of a sudden, I had mother, father, uncles, aunts, cousins, and relatives up there, yin-yang, and a caring, cohesive family with music at the center of my life. And he wanted us all to get our education, which we did. And I got a Bachelor of Arts degree in music education. So I taught music in the public schools first. So I'm very, 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 very well grounded in music and the fundamentals of music. But then I told my mother and my father that I wanted to try to see if I could be a performer, because I was so enamored of my mother's voice and her beauty and her talent and their love for the industry. They just, they were just so, you could just see it just reeked to them. So I kind of caught the bug from them.
Wow.
And then my dad started taking me around to some of the people who he knew to get me introduced into the industry. And one of the first people I met was Valerie Simpson, who at the time happened to be a backup singer. And she was an aspiring songwriter. So she invited me on this meeting. We exchanged numbers, and she invited me to come and sing backup with her, as a backup singer for my first profession. So I really started in the industry as a backup studio singer. Wow. I know it's a long story, but
that's what we want. That's what we want to get to know you more. So how is working in the studio back when you started with Valerie and working in the studio now? Is there a big difference in how you make things work?
Let me see. I'm not sure if I know how to answer the question. With studio work, well, first of all, I was a trained musician, singer. I could read music. Valerie and Nick Ashford, of course, they weren't married at the time. But all of the backup singers that Valerie worked with were the top in the industry. So it was really rewarding for me to use the education that I had. It was so much fun. We loved what we were doing. We sang behind all the best singers that were in the industry at the time, and we would just sing till we got silly because we was booked all the time. And you really usually when you get tired, you get kind of cranky. But we knew it was time to go home because we was too silly. We couldn't even make sense no more. Yeah, because we got booked so much. We didn't get hoarse or nothing. We just got, you laugh and joke with people you enjoy being around. Yes. And we were just silly.
Wow.
So it was just so much. I could have done that the rest of my life, except, fortunately, one of the recording sessions that we did were the people who were actually doing the music performance of Galt McDermott, his name is, for the Broadway musical Hair. And so I wouldn't have known nothing about no theater.
Okay.
So, but they invited all of us who were on that recording session to come and sing for the director and the producer to see if, they wanted us to do the Broadway musical Hair. Well, I was the only one that went up and sang for them, so I got into the Broadway musical Hair. But that's how it started. And so my life was a charm at that time.
Wow. It seems like it's still a charm. You're working on your upcoming album, Forevermore. You're actually producing the album. And how is everything going with that? Are we going to have the album soon?
Well, it is just amazing. Because it's taken a long time, but like I said, it's almost like a hobby or a ministry with me. It's not like something I just drive after all the time. I asked the Lord, well, what's going on? Do you want me to do this? Or how are we going? He said, well, do what I tell you each day. And, call your manager, Ron Richardson, and see if, he's doing what I tell him to do. And I'll show you what you're doing. So to make a long story short, it's been quite a process. Getting to this point, But I finally came upon this incredible songwriter-producer and his engineer, Dominic McFadden, who wrote and produced for me the last single that I had out, What Can I Do to Survive? Just amazing, beautiful ballad. And then he came up with this other song and sent it to me, and I said, man, this is crazy. This is a hit for anybody who want to sing this, and I can sing this. And we did it, and so everybody, it's just up and out. Now, you played it, and everybody's like really responding positively to it. But this past, it was a Saturday, I think, we finished the video.
Wow. Well, I mean,
and
I'm excited. I'm excited because the song, I love the song. It's, you know, on the One-Essence Radio, we play smooth grooves, and it's definitely a smooth groove with a message, and it has kind of a jazz feel to it.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's Dominic McFadden. And I'm saying so much because there's so much to say, but this is the son of Gene McFadden of McFadden and Whitehead.
I was going to ask. I didn't want to assume, so I was going to ask. Yeah. That is wonderful. Oh, wow. So what we're going to do... Go ahead. No, ma'am.
I was going to say that I've seen just a few clips, the outtakes of the video, and it promises to be warm, natural, unifying in terms of what our community ought to be. You see the children playing. You see the neighbors fellowshipping with each other. You see everybody joining in, having a barbecue and having fun outside. It's a beautiful, sunny day. And you see me looking all glammed up, you know.
That's always important.
Okay. And I think it's just going to be so fabulous because I think it's what God wants. I really do.
And, oh, wow. To have that feeling when you're working on a project and have it come together is God, it has to be awesome. What I'm going to do is we're going to take a short break. I'm going to play Just Dance for those listeners who are just tuning in. And then we'll come right back with a little, I don't want to keep you too long because I know you have a cold and I don't want to strain your voice because I know you got to get back in the studio too. So,
right. I got to finish up this album.
Yes, ma'am. So we can put some more tracks on the station rotation. One moment. We will be right back with Let's Talk Music and Miss Melba Moore.
Listening to The One Essence Radio.
Remember when we used to know each other's names, hanging out all day long and playing silly games. Let's take it back to the good times music could bring. Let's get back to love when we could dance and sing. We never worried about no arguing, no guns or fighting. We used to care about our children, now they're slowly dying. Let's take it back to the good times music could bring. Let's get back to love when we could dance and sing. If we just dance, if we just sing, we can make the world
The One Essence Radio.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Music with The One Essence. And tonight our very special guest is Miss Melba Moore. I've been saying the dynamic Miss Melba Moore all week, and I'm trying not to be repetitive, but it's...
Oh, you can repeat that. That's okay.
The dynamic Miss Melba Moore. And for all you guys that are listening, we're not going to keep her too much longer, but I do have a couple more questions for you, Miss Moore. And I know you still perform live. And how is that? How do you do it? I mean, you do so much. And for a live performance, how do you manage your day-to-day activities, still perform, still go into the studio and record, and still keep your faith and everything intact? How do you manage it all?
Well, I have a lot of great help. You probably arranged this interview with my wonderful manager, Ron Richardson. You can't even do anything bad by yourself, but he does a fabulous job. He has the energy of about 10 or 15 people so that, we get these things done. But now we have a lot of great help, like I said, with Dominic McFadden, and he has a whole crew of people. His engineer, I think he calls himself Phone Notes. I often get this wrong, but his name is Philip. And when we did the video, he has a very great film crew that he works with, and his main person is Joseph Jones. I just told you about 4 or 5 people right there. But then you have your family members, and you have different people who hold down the fort in other areas. So I can basically go to the gym, go to church, take my communion, learn my songs, and focus on I'm really the temple. I got to take care of that. I really don't do a lot of other things. I take care of myself and try to be a holy person. So I'm not out here in the world. I'm not going to all the red carpets. Yes, I may be soon, but right now I'm just taking care of the bridegroom, Jesus. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. But you may be soon because you're nominated for 2 Grammys.
You're absolutely right. I forgot about that. But like I said, I spend my time kind of in the face of Jesus. And he said, if you seek the kingdom of heaven, all these good things will start be adding unto you. So I'm sure there's going to be lots of awards and lots of good things that's coming about, because I think that's what he wants for me. But I spend all my time really like focusing on living a holy life, staying in shape, staying healthy. And, the older you get, the more you have to take the leadership of maintaining your body and your spirit and your mind. When you're young, it kind of goes on automatic, but the older you get, the more you have to do. So you have to have priorities. I can't do a lot of other things and do that too.
Yes, ma'am. I certainly understand priorities. And Michelle, do you have any questions? If not, I'm going to ask one final question. Actually, 2 short final questions, and then let Miss Moore go recuperate.
No, I don't have any questions. I just wanted to say publicly that I have enjoyed, watching her performances and watching her in shows and in the movies, and she is a dynamic and a wonderful performer, and I just hope that and pray that God keeps her going strong, because it is a joy and a blessing to see her perform.
Wow, I've never had the opportunity, so I thank you for sharing that. Finally, Miss Moore, okay, I'm getting all kinds of messages. People want to call in. People, if you're going to call in, you better make it quick. We're on the schedule here. What advice would you give to someone just beginning their career in either stage or music?
Well, of course, take acting lessons. Don't do like I did and just kind of fall into it. If you're a singer, take vocal lessons, get in a church that has a music ministry, and, get as much formal education as you possibly can. Get your high school and college education if you can do that. And then I would say start making the rounds, and don't worry about making money at first. Just get up and do it and get experience. Look at all the different artists that are similar to you in your field, and if you don't have a style already, then mimic theirs, because, you won't sound like them. You won't be like them. You'll develop your own style, but everybody kind of draws from whatever the community is that they come up in, and then your own persona kind of develops out of that. And I would say, focus on it, take it seriously. Let me warn you, there's lots of pitfalls and difficulties in it, but God is there to keep you and bring you up out of them. And I would say make God first in your life, because He gave you the talent, or He gave you the desire to do it, and He'll show you how to take care of it and get the best out of it.
Amen. Amen. Miss Moore, it's been a complete joy having you on the phone and telling us a bit of your life that we as laypersons didn't know. We do have one caller from our sister station out of Baltimore, Maryland, WMEL 104.1, the owner of the station. Welcome to the One Essence Radio, DJ Mel.
What's up, cousin?
Hello.
Nola?
She's on the line.
What's up, cuz?
What's up, cuz?
Okay. His name is Camille Moore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but no one know who I am. Hey, Mo, how you doing?
I'm doing really, really well, thank you. Got a little bit of a cold, but other than that, I'm doing very well.
And we're not going to keep her we're going to try to let her go because we don't want her to overdo it. She's not feeling well.
Right. And I told you, I just wanted to call and say it's been a while since we last talked, since you last was on my show. So I also want to say congratulations on. I love the new single. I'm playing it on WMEL every day now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and thank you for your support from before. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're quite welcome, my friend. So I'm not going to hold you up. You get well soon, and me and you will talk very, very soon.
Wonderful.
Okay, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks for calling, Mel.
All right, y'all. Take care.
Okay. Well, everyone, we're going to bring our show to a close this evening. I just want to say you guys don't know how full I am. I was telling Miss Moore off air, I feel like I've had a 7-course meal. It's just been a joy to have you on the station, learn some things about you that we didn't know, and play this amazing track, Just Dance, from the new CD. And I can't wait to hear the rest of it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for your support. And I'm telling all your listeners, I love you. Don't change a thing.
All right. Good night, everybody.
To the One Essence Radio.